We are the heartbeat of Seattle.
Hello and good evening. Um, I wanted to talk to you tonight about something that I have talked about in the past, and that is that the numbers in the coronavirus have been, well, I said they were padding the numbers, but in actuality, especially in Seattle or the state of Washington, it says that they have been reading the data wrong. The testing scores. They have been reading them wrong, and they have been saying that the scores have been double what they actually were, which means that less people are actually sick than normal. And I'm asking this question, if that is the case in the state of Washington, what about the rest of the United States as well? Are they reading the numbers wrong? Or is that just an elaborate excuse to explain why more people seem to be sick than they actually are? Now, this is something that I have gotten in a Seattle Times article. I'm going to read a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. And when I'm done, if you get into this video, I'm going to ask you to please put your thoughts in the comments, because every little bit counts. We're in this together, here to make everybody safer as well as ourselves. And I'm saying this because I don't believe that I do not believe that we want to be sick or for people around us to be sick either. It says here, Washington State has been recording incorrect COVID-19 testing numbers for 8 weeks. The state dashboard has shown 13% more people testing negative since April 21st than actually have been testing negative, which means that sometimes people are coming in for maybe a cold, or they are coming in as a cold or the flu, and they're saying, no, 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 we made a mistake. It's the coronavirus. What have I been telling people? That it's possible that a lot of people that have been testing positive for the coronavirus actually do not have the coronavirus. The state dashboard has shown 13% more people testing positive since April 21st. The inflated numbers were a result of a workaround that was used to handle the high volume of negative tests, according to a DOH newsletter, Department of Housing newsletter. Department of Housing? No, Department of Health. Department of Housing. DOH. Department of Health. Revealed Wednesday. The inflated numbers were a result of a workaround that was used to handle the high volumes of negative tests. The state dashboard was supposed to display negative molecules. They were supposed to display negative molecular tests which detect a current coronavirus infection. Well, my question is, how do you know for sure that it's an infection, that it's the coronavirus? This is brand new. We don't know for sure. Now, if you created it and you put it out there, then yes, you'll know what to look for because you created it. If we didn't create it, how do we know that it's not the flu or it's not pneumonia? I mean, I went to the hospital a few years back for pneumonia, and it was onset pneumonia. And then they found some scarring on my lungs, which they thought might be cancer related. They wanted me to come back in 6 months to have it looked at. So they did, and it actually, the scarring tissue went down. It did not get much bigger. If it had gotten much bigger, then they would have went in and did tests and checked for cancer. But it was a scar that happened from me getting pneumonia, onset pneumonia. I went into the hospital early. when the pneumonia was setting in. Oh, I was just horrible. Like the coronavirus, kind of. I couldn't breathe. My temperature was high. I was sweating like crazy. I was throwing up. I couldn't get anything to stay down. I would drink something as simple as water, and like a minute later, I was throwing it up. And that was onset pneumonia. So they're saying it's the coronavirus, when actually there may not really be a coronavirus. Now, I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just saying it's very possible that there may not be. If there is, I feel for people that have gotten it and suffered through it, and the families that have died, the families that are left behind. I feel for you and I pray for you. But if there is no such thing as a coronavirus and they have been given wrong information, that needs to be looked at. And you can't be afraid to say, I made a mistake, because you're playing with people's lives here. There's no harm in making a mistake. The harm comes from not being able to admit that you made the mistake. Now it says here, let's see here, the state dashboard was supposed to display a negative molecular test which detects a current coronavirus infection, but accidentally also included negative antibody tests which show whether a person has antibodies that indicate a past infection. Oh, well, it's like the tuberculosis, TB. When I worked at a restaurant, I had to get a TB shot, a tuberculosis shot. Now, I had been tested for it prior. I did not realize that if you test for it a second time, it'll show that you are positive for tuberculosis, even if you're not. So, they are including people that have been tested and that have the antibodies already within them for other things, and it's showing that they have been infected when really they have not been. So, in actuality, the people that are being tested positive may not have anything at all. It may be a false negative or a false positive. It's a false positive. And that's not necessarily anybody's fault. It's just a mistake that was made that needs to be corrected going forward. Now we know about it, so we have to look at this thing and figure out how we can keep it from happening again. Now, the Department of Health spokesperson Lisa Strom Warren said the error was because of a missing line of code. She was not immediately able to explain how the department discovered the problem or whether it means the trend line of the virus spread in Washington may be worse than previously thought. Now, it's good to be cautious. It's good to be on the lookout for stuff. But you can be overly cautious and you can be extremely paranoid to the point where you're just freaking out all the time. You bump your finger and it hurts. Oh my God, I got my hand. It's going numb. You know, I'm being paralyzed. No, you're not. Your finger fell asleep, and that's why. Shake it around and it'll come back to life and everything's fine. She's also said, we understand that we made a mistake and we own it. Now, that's it. Owning it. As long as you don't say, oops, my bad, and go on, you make a mistake, you tell people you made the mistake, and then you go on. Now, I'm going to tell you something. And it's always good to be honest. It is. It's good to be honest about everything. Back in 1996, I was in Portland, Oregon, and I was at a KISS concert. They were on their reunion tour. I had not seen them live except for the Animalized back in 1984. KISS, that was when they didn't have all their original members. They just had Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. Eric Carr and Bruce Kulick was with them then. So in 96, Peter Criss, the drummer, the original drummer, wasn't able to play that night because his arms had messed up and he had carpal tunnel and he couldn't play. So Doc McGee, their manager, was going to put Peter's drum tech in the makeup and the outfit and put him out there, and hopefully nobody would notice the difference. But Gene and Paul and Ace and Peter, all four members of KISS, thought honesty is the best way to do stuff. So they came out. They had a video rigged up from behind the stage in the back in the dressing area. Paul came out and said, we would understand if you want a refund, but Peter can't play tonight. And Peter came on the video and explained what happened, showed himself soaking his arms in a bucket of ice and ice water to help the swelling go down in his arms in his carpal tunnel. And they said that Eddie Cannon, Peter's drum tech, was going to take over for the night. And if anybody wanted a refund, they would understand and they would be fully refunded. And plus given a chance to see them at a later date for free if they wanted. The audience was happy because KISS had been honest. And they explained what happened. Everybody welcomed Eddie Cannon with open arms. He did a great show, except for a couple of songs he couldn't do because he don't sing, and Peter does. Beth was one of the songs, and Hard Luck Woman was another song. They couldn't do it. So they did all the show without Peter. Peter was in the back, and he came out and he apologized and said he was sorry that he had to miss the show. But they believed that the show must go on, and if the audience was willing to accept Eddie as the drummer for the night, the guest drummer, then they would be extremely appreciative, and the fans were very, very honored that KISS valued the fans enough to be honest. And it's like the Department of Health and the state of Washington and everything, they felt like they were that we deserve the truth, and they're bringing it out. Now, I need to think, are other states going to do truthful things too? It's possible they could be misreading, and they could be saying, now, New York, that's a state that I think will come out and be honest next. I think that Cuomo, the governor, is going to come out and say, we're going to take a look at those numbers again. It's possible that we could be saying that people are infected that may not be. Now, I'm not saying to become comfortable, and I'm not saying for you to not be aware of your surroundings. If you get sick, take precautions, stay at home if you can. If it's worthy of going to the hospital, please do. I don't want you to die. You know, one big happy family here. Not always happy, but we are one family. Everybody in America, and the world for that matter. When we bleed, we all bleed red. No matter where you come from, our blood is all red. So, I'm going to let you go on that note. Hopefully other states come forward and they admit that maybe they did it wrong too. And there's no shame in it. There is no shame in making a mistake. It's how you deal with the mistake and how you fix it and move forward. Be honest. That's all anyone can ask, is just be honest and do the best you can. If you like my videos and you want to give me a big old thumbs up, that's great. I would appreciate it. Also, if you have something to add to this and you have something that you think is worth somebody listening to, whether it's pro or negative, it doesn't matter, as long as it's respectful, putting a thought out there, who knows? Just think, if everybody believed the world was still flat, Columbus wouldn't have tried to discover the new world and pick up spices. But he went against the norm, and he said, nope, the world is round. So, having said that, if you want to add a comment, put it in the comments below. If you want to give me a big old thumbs up, smash that button. Also, hit the subscribe button down here. I can't do it without you. It's a lonely party when only one person is there. And I want to just say this to all my subscribers that I do have. Thank you. Please let me know what I can do to make your experience better. Because it's just me and you and me. in this big old world together. Remember, let's make tomorrow better than yesterday by doing the very best we can today. Have a good evening, Seattle, America, and all points beyond.